easy. It's got two little things. Pull that out. Then it's got a tray inside. Oh shit, this thing is nasty. Let me go get some gloves for this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So last episode I introduced that new project I got, the Sportcross. So today what I'm gonna do some minor stuff. I'm gonna run the codes, see what check engine lights I have on. I'm gonna change the cabin filter and some of the other stuff that I have parts for right now. I'm actually gonna take the wheels off, kind of look at the undercarriage and see what else is wrong with this car while I'm waiting for all the parts to come in to do the maintenance. So stay tuned. So one of the first things I wanna get to is this nasty antenna that I got on the top here. I want to take this thing off. This thing's seen better days. It looks like the original one from 2002. It's pretty simple upgrade, just kind of unscrew it and put it on. So I'm going to end up putting on this Honda antenna. I thought it was the S2000 one I ordered, but it was only $10, and it's really the Element one off the Honda Element, which it looks exactly like the S2000 one anyways after you look at it. I think the only difference is the S2000 one has a little round thing that's bigger than the thing at the end here, but other than that I think it's the same length and everything, and it's only $10 versus the S2000 one, which is $30. So here's the part number for it there, and I'll have a link down in the description to this one. I bought it on Amazon, sold by Amazon. So got it on installed, pretty quick, easy twist on install, so it fits pretty nicely. It's plenty flexible for whatever it needs to go to when you're touching stuff. It stays on, so hopefully it gets pretty good reception since it's an OEM Honda one versus some of the cheaper aftermarket ones that you can get on eBay or Amazon. So next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go in here and change out the cabin filter. So the cabin filter is behind the glove box. I'll go grab the filter and we'll go see what's behind here. So what I'm gonna end up putting in is one of these general Toyota filters. If you guys watched one of my other filter videos where I was changing the filters and I was reviewing the filters, this is one of the ones I bought on eBay. I think I only paid maybe $3 or $4 for it. There are some from Amazon that are just as good. So this is one of the carbon activated ones. It's basically a OEM replacement filter, but it's carbon activated, so I'm gonna replace the one that's in here. I think the IS300 uses a slightly different filter. Pop in both sides, so I think this is pretty easy. It's got two little things. Pull that out. Then it's got a tray inside. Oh shit, this thing is nasty. Let me go get some gloves for this. Got my gloves on. This stuff, yeah, crap. I don't want to disturb any of this crap. Damn, this filter, it's the OEM filter 8713948028083, but dang, this thing looks like it hasn't been changed since this car was new. Damn, this might be the freaking original filter. This is nasty as hell. Look at throw this crap away. I'm gonna have to clean this thing deeply. So you can tell this thing is flimsy, a cheap flimsy filter compared to this guy, but it looks, yeah, it looks to be the same dimensions, just thicker. So we'll see how this fits, but I'm gonna toss this thing in the trash before this crap gets everywhere. Just because how nasty it is, I brought out the degreaser to wipe this crap down in here. Just, damn, these people, whoever had this car before did not do any kind of maintenance. Man, had to clean all this crap out in there. You can see, got all the nasty crap and dirt and dust out of there. So now we'll take the new filter out and put it in the tray and put it back in. So usually these filters have a direction, an up and down or an airflow direction, but I don't see it on this particular filter. I believe, yeah, this is what you get for eBay crap. Yeah, both sides of the pleats look the same, so I just assume it's universal. Crap, it doesn't fit. Well, it doesn't really fit inside the tray as well either. So I was looking at it, so I said screw it. I decided to just make this thing work. I've already got it. I only paid $3 or $4 for this thing. I'll eventually order the correct filter for this car, but for now, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna end up trimming along here on both sides so it actually clears that lip and gets in there. Oh yeah, perfect. Fits in there, fits between the gaps. Good. Let me check the clearance on it with the recirculating window. It's a little tight on the, it hits the filter a little bit on the recirculating window, but I think it should be good. I usually leave it closed anyways. I don't really bring in too much outside air, especially in Florida where it's humid as hell, so it'll work for now until I order a new one or the next time I change it. That velvet lining on the inside of here looks like it deteriorated over the last 18 years, so it started peeling. So what I'm going to end up doing is getting in there and just peeling all that crap out, because it's probably going to get worse in here than before it gets better. So just get better off just scrubbing it all out of there and just leaving it plastic in the inside. The crap that came out of it right here, pretty nasty stuff. So one of the ugly things I hate with all my cars is daytime running lights. They're on all the time when you're driving. I'm gonna hook up Techstream and see if I could disable those in Techstream. I also have to run some check engine light codes on this car right now anyway, so we'll go look at that now. Dang, I don't see a DRL control. Maybe they don't have it on this car. So here's the two oxygen sensor codes I have. So the heater circuit is failed on both of these. So I've got 141 and 155, bank 1 sensor 2 and bank 2 sensor 1. So I'm about to go look up which sensors these are and order them. I'm going to end up ordering the Denso replacements, which are the same OEM ones, at like a quarter of the price. I think they're only like 50 bucks, maybe 40 bucks each versus like 200 from the dealer. So I'm getting all these error codes, and I suspect this when they lowered the car, one of the sensors, the height adjustment sensor for the headlight system and all that, failed, or one of the sensors is corroded. So I'm about to go look into what these codes all mean, but it looks like it's all part of that height control and then the headlight level control and all that. We'll go ahead and check that out. So I did a bit more research on the DRL, and for this car, it's actually easier than I thought coming from an 07 2IS. I thought it was all computerized, but for this car, you just unplug this plug right here and just take it out and you're good. This is the pulse width modulation module that basically regulates that high beam to make it like half power or quarter power for the DRL instead of full power. And that's what they use right here, this resistor box. So you just unplug it. And I think there's some other hacks that people do where they bypass it or they just jump it to full power on here that you can see on the forums, but it's that simple. So yeah, that's that simple. Just pull that off. You could just remove this whole box altogether if you don't want to have it anymore, and then just tuck this plug away. And we'll test it now to see, make sure the high beams work and the DRLs are off. So DRLs are off. We'll test the high beams, and the high beams work. So pretty simple DRL disable on this car. So I'm gonna go check out underneath the car, jack the side of this car up, take the wheels off, kind of inspect some stuff underneath, see where all the leaks are coming from. Then I'll go over where to jack up these cars from and the jacking points, in case you guys need to know where to jack the car up, because I know a lot of people mess up on where to jack the car up and, you know, screw up the little seam weld, which this car, I already looked under it. The last owners have already mangled those seam welds up as hell. So for the jacking points that I basically use a 2x4 or two little 2x4 blocks, or one with a slit in it. My slits usually end up breaking, and I just put it basically on either side of where the factory jacking point is. So if you look closely at this one, it looks like it's pretty mangled already for over the years of people not properly jacking it up in that spot. So once I get that up, I usually find a nice reinforcement on the frame to put the jack stand on. So I was having a little bit of trouble finding a good jacking point, or not a good jacking point, but a jack stand point on the rear, because all the spots I tried was kind of soft and it looked like it was bending everything. So I went back to the front and I started here first. So you can see right there, I just put the jack stand basically on the frame rail, but the front frame rail I know for sure is reinforced. Usually you use that. I see some people use this spot, which is kind of reinforced, but it's hollow. So I usually try not to use that one unless I can distribute the weight across, but I always try to get it on that frame. The rear was a little bit more difficult. I know even on the 2IS, the 07 that I have, I usually don't put it on that inner rail because it's kind of soft also. I usually always put it on the outside rail, right basically behind where you jack it up with the jacking point, but since the hydro jack's in the way, kind of blocks that. So usually I try to move it off to a side a little bit and then get the jack stand in that spot. So I'll try that rear again now that I got the front. So here, see, I basically use that same mounting point for the jack. I moved it a little bit closer to the front of the car, so that way I get this guy back here under, and I basically mounted it. There's a reinforcement spot there that actually has a hole in it, but I couldn't get it in there with the, right there, see it's reinforced underneath because the hydro jack is using that spot right there. And then that other spot I was talking about underneath here, it's a little bit softer, like right here. This is a frame rail, like it extends all the way front, but even on the other IS, the newer one, it's soft every time I've tried to put something there. So I've always been weary of putting a jack stand there just because I didn't want that spot to bend and buckle into the thing. But I think as you move closer to the front, it's reinforced. It's just right here where that hole is. It's a thin gauge metal. Yeah, these are all the jacking spots that I usually jack up just to be safe underneath the car. So I took the wheels off just to inspect everything. So the first thing I noticed, I've lowered many cars in my life and I've never spaced out the thing with a nut like that. So I don't know if somebody screwed up on that install and just left the nuts on and then used the factory nuts on top, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to have those nuts. If you guys know about these Megan coilovers, leave a comment and tell me if that's correct or not. I'm pretty sure that's not correct, and I'm gonna have to take that apart and have it flush up against the hole, because right now I can actually see the gap inside the car. So that's pretty sure that's not supposed to be like that. I know for sure that the Autolevel lever is incorrect because I'm getting that AFS light in the car, so I'm about to take that apart and flip it around the correct way, because people usually always screw that up. Is this bar right here. And then the previous owner told me he put in a camber kit, and it looks like I see a camber kit here. Is a little offset camber kit that he installed right there, so that's good. So as far as the underside of this car, there is a little bit of rust and corrosion, nothing really serious. I mean, look at the drive axle, you can see there the nuts on the drive axle, some of the little screws here, a little bit corroded on the surface, but nothing really too bad. I'm planning on doing a full suspension refresh of bushings and all that anyway, so most of this stuff is going to go with either new aftermarket ones or more performance arms as I source them and find good deals on them. Same with the brakes. The brakes, I'm going to be doing some upgrades on the brakes. Haven't figured out what I want to do with these brakes yet, depending on these wheels that I've got here. So for the front side suspension, not really anything wild or off that I saw up here as far as screw ups or anything goes. No camber kit up here I can see. At first, when the last owner told me he got a camber kit, I was looking for the actual SBC bolt, but it looks like he didn't use that one up here. No other camber bushings or anything on that A-arm. I do see some I don't know if that might be factory. I think this is a factory camber adjustment on this car that I know the 2IS doesn't have, but it looks like this one has it right there on that offset arm there, because that's not toe, that's obviously camber or caster, which is most likely camber on this car. And I mean, other than that, this side looks okay. I think the AFS arm right there in the middle right there looks like it's in the right position, so that's not an issue there. Usually I know this thing, the inside of this stuff usually goes bad or corroded, and you got to fix the contacts to get it correct. Man, the underside of this car is a freaking grease nightmare. Any of you 1IS owners that know about all these leaks, leave some comments. Let me know what you think it is. You can see what's on the cardboard here. That's a fresh new cardboard I just laid down. So I'm getting your normal drips up here on the front. I'm getting a little drip right there, which was the AC because I was running it. And then another drip right there, which looks like a major drip. I'm hoping it's not the rear main seal. I don't plan to mess with the rear main seal until I actually do the transmission. But I think the transmission bell housing is back here, and looks like one drop right there on that spot. I'm just hoping that this is just residual oil from the front main seal that's just been caked on and dripping back here. I really don't want to mess with that just yet until I get all the transmission parts to do the conversion. I'm going to end up jacking this thing up on the street and just bringing out the pressure washer and just giving this baby a good pressure washing underneath. You see all that caked up oil down there, especially on the exhaust and transmission oil pan back there. The front oil pan here is pretty caked up too. I'm probably going to end up dropping that and just cleaning it out and putting in a new form-in-place gasket. So I jacked this side up just to be curious about what's leaking here. So you can see that the condensate from the AC is leaking there, but right next to it, I've got that big puddle right there, and that's the one that's probably the most concerning to me as far as the leaks goes. It is right on top here, and I can't really tell where it's coming from, but it's basically right under these headers, the rear set of headers. And I'm hoping it's not the rear main seal. That's going to be a big pain in the ass. I really don't want to pull that, but I'm hoping it's like the valve cover or something. And it doesn't look like the steering rack, because the steering rack is right in that same area, but it looks like the boot is just covered with the oil that's dripping from it, but it doesn't look like the steering rack oil. And it might be the transmission cooler, but I don't think that's transmission fluid because it's not purple. But then again, this thing's probably never had a transmission service, so that purple oil might be black by now. Back there, see that little spot right there in the center? That looks like from the main seal, because that's right around the transmission area that meets up. Back to the top of the engine here. So yeah, you can see where all those valve cover leaks over the years is just caked onto this side right there. Looking down there, look, yeah, all the hoses, everything. The valve cover stuff back here. The intake side though, the intake side's pretty freaking clean versus the exhaust side. I don't see much down here. So looking at the back of these wheels, they still have the original SSR stickers on these. So you can see that this is a 41 offset. I don't know what the Type D is. So any of you SSR wheel people that know what all this means, let me know in the comments what this means. I mean, I know what all this stuff means. I just don't know what the Type D means and all that on here. As far as the disc go, these are like ultra low disc. Look at that profile on this. There's like no disc at all, no kind of brake clearance whatsoever on the IS on getting bigger brakes. Same with the rear. The rear just looks just like that same way. And this rear has a Type E instead of Type D, so I don't really know what any of that means. One of the things I could tell, the construction of these SSR barrels and all that are top notch. I mean, even the way they fold this lip, most US made 3-piece wheels, they fold it inside. This one actually folds outside, and then there's a lip right here. That's probably for the extra strength on the outside lip so you don't bend them as easily. This is what they told me was a welded 3-piece. So I'm gonna have to do some more research on that and see how true it is as a welded 3-piece, because the beauty of a welded 3-piece is I could take the face apart, have that refinished, and then leave the barrel intact even with the tire on it, because it's welded together, so I don't have to worry about the two pieces separating. The one thing I noticed, somebody did refinish this at one point in time because they taped over the stickers. So this probably used to be a really oxidized aluminum lip, and they painted it silver to make it look better. This one, at first I thought it was welded on right there. I think that's just an old rotted out seal, rubber seal that's been painted, because I guess when they repainted this they didn't bother taking care of that either. If I really wanted to do it, I could take these all apart and do a full refurb with new powder coat faces, either polish or just powder coated barrels on the inside and polished lips. They are pretty nice. I did test fit that rear wheel. It's 9.5-inch rear wheel. Did not fit on the front. The front one is a 8.5, so that's pretty wide. It doesn't look that wide on the car, but it is pretty wide, especially for a 1IS. I run a 20 by 8.5 on my 2IS, and I run a 20 by 10 over there. Barely clears that car, so yeah, it's pretty impressive that this clears on this car. These SSR center caps, that gel coat is just gone on these. I'm gonna end up trying to polish these and re-resin these, but you can see these caps are pretty worn out. All the screws and stuff around them are also gone. So there's 10 screws, 5 of them actually screw onto the wheel, which is kind of overkill, and then 5 of them are actually just blanks. They go to nowhere and they're shorter. So I've already ordered new hardware for these to replace those. I'm gonna clean up these holes a little bit, try to get all that rust out of them and the corrosion, because you can see pretty much those old screws left all kinds of nasty corrosion. I gotta get a little wire brush, clean that all up. And when I refinish the wheels, I'll end up sending those off also. I did take this opportunity, since I was taking off all the wheels, to put new wheel locks on. So I put a new wheel lock on. None of these had wheel locks before. These are actually repurposed from my Honda Accord. I've had those. I mean, I haven't had my Honda Accord for 8 or 9 years now. That was my beater for a while till it died. Good thing it's the same thread pattern and pitch on the lugs, so I was able to reuse that. I did fix that rear arm. It looks like when they lowered the car last time, they took that arm apart for some reason. They put it back on. It was out of the hole, so it wouldn't even line up with the hole. And then, of course, it was flipped the wrong way, so it was throwing that code. That should resolve that code for the headlights. Hey guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we continue this build. I'm currently collecting parts on doing the timing belt service and other maintenance items that I gotta take care of on here. And you know, eventually, once I get this all dialed in as far as the maintenance issues and the oil leaking and all that stuff that's leaking all over my driveway, we'll start getting into the more performance stuff and kind of get this build started as far as trying to figure out what we're going to do with the engine, the transmission, the manual swap, and all that I planned for this car. Other than that, don't forget to check out Teespring for merch. This particular shirt actually got flagged for, I think, copyright of the F, so I actually redesigned it without the AF. It just says lit now with the same graphic, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't done so already. I'll have a link up here. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and we'll continue this build as well as continue the 2IS build. I've got some other things planned for the 2IS in coming episodes, so stay tuned.